Hello followers and welcome back to MrMFretwell Plays Minecraft, and we're here today in our storage room. We are in tier, and oh gosh, that sounded terrible, I apologize. So we're in our storage room, and the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to check out what I've done off camera, and later in today's episode we are going to be working on a rail line between this base and the Mesa base. And then for the last part of the episode, we may do some decorative stuff over at the Mesa. So we'll just have to see how it pans out. So before I get started though, if you hear any background noise, then there is some work going on. The next door neighbours are having something done, so I apologise for any loud banging or so on and so forth. I'm not sure if the mic will pick it up or not, but we'll just have to see about that. And I also just quickly apologise if there was any rustling at the start of the episode. My headset cord was being a bit of a pain in the backside. So hopefully that should stop now. Okay, so in this room I've done a little bit of work since the last episode. Things are looking more complete in here now. I got this section done. This is all my workbench, tool type stuff, anvils going there and so on and so forth. Over here I've allocated some more areas. I tore down that cactus farm. We don't need that anymore. And things are looking pretty good now. As regards these areas, I'm just going to leave them empty. And I'm going to carry on with my plan of having the dyed items on the second floor. So these two will just be extra storage spots. Hey, what are you doing? Skeleton. I think they keep spawning in little places. Like, what light level are we at here? I mean, here looks good, but there's probably one or two spots around that's still pretty dark, like in here. Yeah, there's a 7 right there, so lighting it up will definitely be a priority. I've not done anything with the floor yet. The ceiling is finished now that I tore down the cactus farm. The next things to do in here is going to be to finish off this section, add in the corridors, get all of that done. I want to get the 3x3 doors in on all 4 sides as well. And then at that point, I think we'll start and think about what we want to do with the floor and building the second floor. But we're not going to work on that today. I just wanted to show you what I'd done. So our actual project today is going to be working on a rail line in the Nether. So this project is one that I've wanted to do for quite a bit of time. It's been a bit of a pain to keep using speed potions and running between the two bases. I had no good method of transport between the two. Mainly, I didn't have enough rails, but on top of that, once I had the iron golem farm, I didn't have enough powered rails. But now we do. So I also AFK'd at the gold farm with the new item filter we installed last episode, and I have a lot of gold now. I think I got about a stack of 49 gold blocks from the gold farm through one night of AFKing. So that was pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. We have a ton of gold now, so we're going to be using some of that today, along with some iron, to build the rail line through the Nether. So that's the main project. That will help us cut down travel time. That's the big one. But also, it enables me to ferry large volumes of supplies back. So what I can do is I can use that rail line, and we're going to set it up in such a way that I can send minecart chests back through, not through portals, but to this end. And what we'll be able to do is bring back tons of hardened clay, sand, red sand, string, bones and arrows, because we have a skeleton spawner over there. Just lots of stuff that I need for this base consistently. So it's going to be a huge advantage to get that done in today's episode. And it also, as I say, helps me get between the two bases a lot quicker, meaning we can do a lot more. So here's where the corridor is. This goes up to the gold farm, which I've now finished, by the way. So let's start by, I guess, sort of carving a bit of a room out here. There's gas around, which is just lovely. I guess we'll want to make it 3 high. And that's the bedrock right there, so we can't go really any higher than that. If we're going to build a rail line and make it decorative, I may bring it lower than this so that I don't have the bedrock. And by that I mean we'll probably dig the floor out here rather than try and do anything with the ceiling. So let's dig this out. It's very dark, isn't it? Let's put some light up here so we can see. And I'm going to get my netherrack on the bar. There we go. So let's start by having a little bit of a room here that we can use for storage while we build it, and also have a place where we can drop off our minecart chests. And this is also going to be useful when I need to repair something, because my main enchanting station is at the mesa, that dual cave spider trap, which is a lot better than the zombie grinder I have here. The zombie grinder's okay if I like want to repair one tool or something like that, but the cave spider trap is a lot better for any sort of major enchanting purposes or repairing. So we've got a bit of a room here now that we can kind of use for a little bit. So we'll obviously get dropped off here, and I guess I'll just mark it off with dirt right now what I want to do. I think the rail line should end like there, so we've got a bit of room here along the front to sort of work with. This will be where the tunnel comes out. I guess we can carve that out a bit. I'm not going to do it all right now, I'll do that off camera, but we've got an idea of where the tunnel's going to be. And oh, netherrack is just destroyed by this pickaxe. Let's just do this. So that's where the rail line would be, and that would be where it ends. We'd have a button here that will let us go to the mesa. But I also want a storage area, so maybe we could have a... I don't know if you can do it with detector tracks or not, where you can detect how heavy a cart is. So I could have a detector track maybe here, and then it would switch it over here if it was a minecart chest, but if it's just me, put me here. Or I could just switch it as I go. That could be something else I could do. I'll think about that one off camera and see. We might do some experimentation with detector rails to see how that all works. So, is that going to be a big enough of a storage area? That's my worry. We could probably do with a little bit more. So maybe if we did something a bit like this, that might work out better. And then we'll have some like powered tracks here that aren't powered, so it just gets pushed on here. And we'll probably have a half slab there so that it doesn't bounce back as well. I think this is a big enough room though. I don't think it needs to be necessarily any bigger than this, and we want to obviously decorate it out nicely as well. So I think the next thing I want to do is I want to carve out this to make that a 3x3 tunnel, and then I'll probably return with some equipment here and we'll start messing around with the rails and see how that works, and also come up with a design that works for the tunnel as well. So I'm going to get on with that, and I will be back. Okay guys, so I went and got some equipment, and we've got all sorts of different supplies here to help us out. And I've started laying out the track design here. So we've got this is where the dirt was, and I'm going to use cobble under the rails. I want something that's really cheap for me. Now if I put a lever there, it flicks between the two. So this would be where the player would be, and I guess we could make some signs to help indicate this a little bit easier. So let me make some sticks and we'll get a sign whipped up. So this would be player entry, and this one would be, I guess, resources. That will be our resource loading bay. I guess we don't need that sign anymore. So what we need to do is we need to do some tests here to work out whether it would be able to detect a difference between a player and items. So let me get a minecart real quick here. So we want a minecart to ride in, and we also want a minecart chest. Oh, you know what? I didn't bring with me any comparators. That's going to be difficult, because I think that's the way you detect using these things. I may have to run and get some real quick. Well, just one will do. And then there's our minecart. So we need to make a detector rail, and I don't remember how you make them, to be honest. I've never made them really before. I think it might be that. No, that. Okay, I remember reading that somewhere at some point. So let's take this out and put that there. So it does activate it. That's important to know. first and foremost. So I need a comparator, and then we'll be able to continue this on. So I will get the comparator now. Okay, so we've got the comparator set up, and I want to see now, if you put a minecart on it, and I sit in it, it doesn't do anything. Or was it that I was just not on it? Is that the question? No, it doesn't do anything. Okay, that's useful to know. So what about if we put a minecart chest on it? It also does nothing if it's empty. But what happens if we put an item in it? What happens then? If I put a dirt block in it, for example. Activates this. Okay. So that means that if I send a minecart chest with any amount of items in, it's going to power this comparator here. And what we would need to do at that point is make this switch. So I don't have a repeater on me right now, but we could put a repeater here and sort of loop it around, or even underneath would work, to power this track right here so that it switches. Obviously it's in the right position right now, but we would want it to be, give me that track back, we would want it to be in not that position by default, give me that back. I would want it to be in that position by default, but if we have an item on this detector rail, that it switches. That's the idea. So that does work. So I'm probably going to set up a quick test of that later to see how well it works. Now what we need to do is sort of figure out what we're going to do once they go beyond this point, because obviously as a player all I'm going to have is, you know, 2 powered rails here pretty much and a button, and that'll work. Obviously that's going to need to change though. I'll just get rid of that for right now. So something like that will enable us to get started here. Let me, oh, you can't really reach the button from there, huh? Obviously I wouldn't put the button there as sort of a final. Let me just get some netherrack down, and we'll put a button there. Will that work? I think so. Yeah, so... Oh, I did not realize that. So if I touch that detector rail, it's going to switch and send me back there. So if we were going to put the detector rail anywhere, it would have to be here. And we'll pick up that. Let me get my minecart back down again here. Yeah, that won't do anything, so that's good. Okay, now we need to think a little bit more here about what we want to do. Let me think. So, what was I doing here? Dealing with players. So players will go straight through without issue. But now we've got to deal with resources. So that resources don't sort of bounce around, if that makes sense. So what we want to do is we want as many powered rails as we can here. And I'm going to make more than one minecart chest and see how this sort of works. Because the problem we're going to have, let's actually experiment with the problem first, because I think the solution might be quite obvious. Oh, dang, pickaxes. There we go. Let me get the netherrack back in. I think having a powered rail there should solve the problem. An unpowered powered rail that gets powered when a minecart chest goes over this. So I need my other minecart. Where did that go? Over here. So let's pick that up and make another minecart chest. Gosh, I'm just all over the place today. So basically what happens is it... Oh, it does not bounce. Okay. But if I do that, then it bounces. But if we do that, it stops. No matter how much momentum I'm going to give it, it's going to stop. Which is really important. So in order to get through, though, it needs to switch. And if we, for example, do this, and the minecart gets pushed through, it will just stop there. So we need to make sure that that's powered for long enough that the minecart can then get through, but then stop when there's more than one minecart there, which I think that will be pretty easy to do because it will just be the same system that powers the track switcher here, just extended a block. So let me add a few more. We don't need to make minecart chests for these necessarily, we just need minecarts. Because I want to see what this is like. So that's going to push it. Now, will more than one minecart go back over it, though? It gets pushed a bit, not much. So if I push all of these back... Yeah, they kind of sort of get stuck amongst each other. A bit like that. Yeah, that's not going to get free. I think I will build a bigger loading bay, though. Because this many minecarts is probably the least amount I will be using. I might be bringing back 5 or 6 minecart chests worth. So I'm going to build a bigger loading bay over this side for sure, so that we don't run into this problem too much. And there'll be plenty of room for that stopper. We may even have like an extra powered rail because look, that one's managed to get past and over. So that's interesting. This is all useful stuff to know in the long run here. So let me put these away. So now the next thing I want to do here is clear out this and then start and come up with a design. Now the design is going to be the difficult part because we have a long tunnel that's probably about 1,000 blocks long. So I can't use something that I don't have a lot of. So I'm thinking probably smooth stone slabs, cobblestone, that sort of thing. Maybe some hardened clay possibly from the mesa, which I can add later on. That's fine, but anything that's in short supply, stuff like stained glass, quartz and so on, I can't really use that. So we're going to have to think carefully about how we approach this in terms of resources. Wood might look interesting, but I wouldn't say that this is really the place to have wood necessarily. I think I want to do something sort of cobble based, but I don't want it all to be cobble. I may use stone bricks as a highlight block. Let's see. I want to get myself some cobble stairs and slabs. Let's just kind of do some experimentation here. Could do a little arch or something as we go through. Now it's important to remember that in order to stop pigmen from spawning, we're going to have to do that, and then also this. So we're not going to have too much to work with either in terms of making it pretty. So that's probably going to be as simple as it gets, and I may just put cobblestone along the walls here and the ceiling, and that will be about it. I don't think that we'll go too crazy with this because we just don't have the supplies to do that. So I'm going to work on that for a little while. That doesn't look too bad. Let's actually lay some rails down and just see what it looks like. Obviously these cobble slabs would be probably smooth stone slabs, something like that. I can break that to get through. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. And then obviously no mobs would be able to spawn at that point. I think the baby magma cubes might, but they're rare enough to where it's not a problem, to be honest. So that's looking in pretty good shape, I think. You know, it's not overdone. Let's pick these up. See, that kind of looks a bit too bland for me. We might have these beams sort of like every so often as well to break it up. Which, you know, it's cobblestone. I have a ton of cobblestone and I can get more of it really, really easily. So I'm not worried about spending that on this. So we may end up doing that, and obviously these will be smooth stone. That might be smooth stone there. For this, I'm not so sure. We could use some highlight blocks and things in here. Maybe some stone bricks or something to just kind of give the room a little bit of a pop. You know, maybe put some stone bricks in the floor, that kind of thing. And obviously we have this ladder well here, which is stone bricks too. So I don't know, we'll think about that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to expand that tunnel, as I say, get this set up, probably build a bigger loading bay, and put the rail line in. All of this stuff is kind of pretty boring, menial stuff. So what I'll do is I'll get all of this done, and then we'll probably take a ride of it when I get back, because breaking all of that and then just laying down blocks is pretty dang boring to watch as footage. So probably ride it, and then we might actually work in here. We might do some decorative stuff in here. So I'm going to get on with that, guys, and I will be back in a little while. So, slow and steady progress is being made. I have got this little area set up now, and the rail line has been done. It goes all the way to the Mesa base end, and I've ridden it. It's working fine. It's pretty fast. I think it's faster than it was when I was walking it or running it or using speed potions or whatever. So this right here is sort of our loading bay that we worked on just a moment ago here. Got the redstone there slabbed off, of course, and we have just a minecart chest here right now. But obviously we will be taking minecart chests with us to get loaded up on supplies. Got a little bit of storage there, just some random bits and pieces. And this is kind of my redstone chest here with everything I need. We've got some smooth stone cooking up in here. I've kind of started work on sort of designing the room, but I haven't got very far with it yet. And this is going to be kind of, not necessarily an off-limits area, but more of a maintenance area, and where I can get my items out of this storage area. I put a door here, and I'm not sure whether I really like that door there. It kind of is too close to the ladder. So what I'm thinking I want to do is perhaps move it to here. But if I do that, I'm going to have to do some wall decoration so that it doesn't look quite as horrible. Now, you may notice I have a lot of stairs on me. I thought, and this has obviously been changed at some point, and I've just not realized, that mobs would not spawn on upside down stairs. That is no longer the case. That used to be the case, but obviously that has changed at some point. After some research, I think it might be in version 1.5 that was changed. So I'm not sure on that 100%, but unfortunately, mobs do spawn on upside down stairs, so that was kind of a waste. So I just put cobble blocks down, honestly. In here I just have all my cobblestone left over. So I want to take a lot of this stuff here and sort of go down to the other end and work on that end. We need a similar situation to this, though not quite as fancy, I guess, because all we're going to be doing there is loading rather than depositing. If I want to bring anything with me to the Mesa, it's pretty much guaranteed not to be in large amounts, because it's just a small base over there. I mainly go over there to AFK at the spider farm, or the iron golem farm, or dig up hardened clay, which I'm sending back. I don't think ever have brought a large amount of supplies. And when I mean a large amount of supplies, I mean we're talking more than an inventory full and more than my ender chest. And that is essentially the same as a double chest. I will never take that amount of stuff down here. And even if we did, I could work something out with just one minecart chest, that kind of thing. So I'm not too worried about that, but we do want an area where we can set down our minecart chests, load them up, and then send them down the line here. We also need a place for us to go, because we can't just send minecart chests down this rail line. It won't work. We have to make sure that we are traveling with them, otherwise they will eventually reach unloaded chunks and just stop. And that will be the case until we re-enter those loaded chunks, and we'll go from there. So, as regards this area, we probably need to finish off the stone bricks that I was using around here, around this general area, just to kind of complete that whole ladder well area. This wall is still messy. I've not done anything with the ceiling yet. And I just put some cobblestone down just to kind of define a room, really. And I don't know exactly what I want to do with it yet. For the rail line here, I think I've pretty much got what I want to do. I don't think there's really any point me adding anything to the walls or ceiling. It's just a lot of time taken up. This is a really long rail line, and it would just be an expensive waste of time, to be quite honest. I'm going to be probably stepping away from the computer while I ride this, because it takes, you know, 2-3 minutes. So there's no point me doing anything down here, really. So I think we're just going to focus on decorating out this end and the other end. So let's actually get some supplies together first, and then we're going to ride it. Now, I don't have all the half slabs yet. I've run out of supplies for that. Mainly, actually, coal. I actually went back to the overworld, and we have no more coal. Well, at least in coal form. I have 2 rows of silk touch stuff, so I'm nowhere near actually out of coal. but we are out of usable coal right now. So I'm going to take all this stuff with me. I can kind of organize it down there. Have my cool pick here to pick up that ender chest. I'm going to leave that here. Do I want the furnaces? Not really. I kind of want to let that finish smelting. That's empty, as is this. One thing I did learn while building this is that minecarts will hit that and they'll tend to bounce off each other, so I have this sort of lock. This is what this is. So by default, it's going to be in this position, and a minecart will come in here when it's going over the detector rail, hit the wall here, and then it will bounce around here. This is a lock. They can't get out. And if one gets stuck here, another one will bounce into it and still go around. So we're in pretty good shape with that. So I'm not worried too much there. And this will allow us to store around 6 minecart chests, I think. Maybe 6 to 8. So that's plenty. I'm not going to need any more than that, really. I don't foresee bringing back 9 chests of hardened clay in one go. Maybe 8. I'm not sure. So, we're in pretty good shape here. This is pretty much everything I need to do in terms of functionality. It's just a looks thing now. So, I'm just going to let the rest of this finish cooking. And then what I would like to do is ride the minecart. And we'll take a look at what this is right here. And then get to the other end and probably start work on that. Now, if we have time today, we will probably spend some time working on the Mesa base, but if not, then we'll delay that for another day. Next episode, I'm not sure what we're going to do. I'm thinking it's probably about time we did that challenge that I talked about. I wanted to get this rail line done first so that I could get back and forth a lot easier. I am, for sure, though, off camera, going to head out to the Mesa, bring some diamonds with me so I can repair my tools, and I'm going to bring back tons of hardened clay, sand, bones, arrows, although the skeleton trap isn't set up yet, so we probably want to do that on camera. Basically everything that I get a lot of. Iron. We're doing pretty good on string right now, so I don't have to worry too much about string, really. Might bring some spider eyes back. That's done. So let's ride this. Now, as regards pigmen, I've not really seen any of them on this rail line. There's been a few every now and then. And I'm going to put half slabs over this rail here so they can't spawn, of course. But I've not really had a big issue with pigmen, really. There might be a few at either end every now and then when I want to travel on it. But I can move them out of the way fairly easily. The main concern I have is if they spawn on here when I'm far enough away that they bump the minecart chests around rather than me. I'm generally moving fast enough that they don't spawn on this rail line. I'm kind of keeping up with the spawn, so to speak. As you can see, I'm kind of lagging out every now and then. It's a bit jumpy. That's because I'm entering new chunks very quickly in the nether. So that's the whole reason behind that. So pigmen haven't really been a big issue. This is where I ran out of slabs, but I'm not too worried about that. I think generally this takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes, which is about the same as it was with the speed potion. Might be a little bit less. But it does save me all the running, all the food eating, and generally just it's a little bit unpleasant. I can actually step away from the computer now or browse the net or do whatever I want to do while I'm riding between bases here. Before I had to just manually run it and I was bumping into walls and stopping sprinting, and it was just generally really unpleasant. So I'm glad that we've been able to rectify this problem. And surprisingly, I've not used that many resources. I kind of wish I'd have done this before we built the gold farm. It could have saved me a lot of time, but I don't know. I just didn't know what I know then, what I know now, and we're at the end of the rail line already. This is where it ends, and this is the entrance to the Mesa base. So down this ladder is where the portal is. I'm not sure if I want to build an area down there for transportation of supplies or not. I could put an area down there where the minecarts are and then send them up here. Or I could have an area up here which I ferry supplies up and down a ladder with. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with that. I think I do actually want to have it up here though, because it's just a lot easier than having to dig out all huge areas of netherrack for something that's probably not really that necessary. So, let's think about this for a moment then and see how we want to do this. So this is where our rail line currently ends. So let me drop this down. I guess we'll put it over here. Get some powered tracks going, and I want some cobblestone and some buttons. There's my buttons. So let's get another one of these guys set up. And that's working now. So what we want to do here is we want to have a place where we can load the minecart chests and then send them onto this rail line. And that's relatively easy to do. All we need is probably a little bit of cobble. Why don't we make the rail line join up there? And do I have a lever? Yeah. You don't put it there though. Might be here. Okay, so if it's in that position, it lets minecart chests roll through and me. If it's in that position, that's the storage position where my minecart will be there and the minecart chest will be locked into place. So that's what we want to do with that. So let me get a cobble block down for that. I'm going to get some netherrack out just to fill in that little hole. So let's leave it like that for right now. We want a reasonable sized area. We don't need anything super huge. Again, we need a place that we can store a maximum of probably 6 to 8. Being very careful here of lava. That's a big threat. That should be plenty of room, I think. And let us get these blocks out of here and place these down. And whoops. Do that there. Let's get our rails going here. Definitely want some of those there. We'll have some of these guys. Now, I'm not really too bothered if they sort of bounce around here. And we'll be doing that if we are sending stuff this way. It kind of does actually function if we needed it to. But for the most part, it will be here if it's just me riding it. So let's kind of experiment a bit here then. We'll put this guy down. And we have the equipment for another one. So what happens if I put my button in place? Do that. Nothing. So will I have to manually push these guys? I think so. Until I get them on the rail line, I'll just have to manually push them. But that is not a huge deal, really. I don't know as there could be an automated solution. I guess what I could do is I could flick that and then maybe have like detector rails, but even then I'd still have to push them. So I think that's fine, to be honest. I don't need anything that's over the top for this, really. I don't want anything that's going to be super crazy either, so probably have that set up there. Get some torches in here. And obviously I'll pretty this up a little bit off camera. We'll probably have a little station. I might carve this out. We could do maybe something here. I'm not sure. Probably have some storage. I may have some storage up here for kind of blocks and stuff that we are bringing back so that I can get tons of them stored in here first and then sort of move them into the minecart chests as we go. So now what I would like to do is actually experiment a little bit here. We want those, and I want my minecart in position. And generally, this minecart will be at the end that I am at. I don't foresee it ending up down at the other end somehow. And even if it did, I could get another minecart without too many issues. But I can't do a cart return system as this is in unloaded chunks. So we don't want to get in here actually just yet. What we want to do is, I guess the powered rail is kind of a bit pointless here. I'll have to replace that. We can't do that. What we want to do is we want to flick our lever. That undoes the lock. And we want to send those down the line. So we can push them both at once, I believe. Yep, there we go. So they go down the line. And let's get me going here. Now, they may run out of momentum. I'm not sure. I did put stacks of blocks in them, so that should be good. From what I've read about minecarts, the heavier they are, so the more items that are in them, the quicker they travel, I think, or the more long distance they travel. I think I'm beginning to catch up here a little bit, slowly but surely. Maybe it won't be a big deal, and I'm not sure how I had it set up at the other end, to be honest. I don't know if I put the lock at that end in place or not, so we'll just have to see. So this is what we're going to have to do if we want to ferry supplies between bases, something like this, where we are following up behind the minecart so that the chunks are loading as they travel. But this is pretty dang good, really. I wanted a simple solution to a complex problem, I guess, because a lot of my supplies are over there and I wanted an easy way to bring them back to the lab. And I think we've achieved that, to be honest. So what we need to do now is, for a start, sort of finish up this as best we can, where the missing slabs are. I want to do some decorative work at both ends and set up some storage at both ends as well. We're already at the turn, so that's good. That means we're just about home. And I think what I also want to do is maybe go do something else, depending on how much time we have. So I'm going to work on that for a little bit before we decide what else we're going to do. Definitely need to finish the slabs. I'm not really sure what I want to do decoratively at either end yet, but maybe I'll get that set up and we can work on it for a little bit. And that will be good. Let's see where the minecarts go now as well. Oh, they did go in the right spot. Look at that. Of course, because we had the detector rail. So what happens here is the minecarts go in. We've got one on the loading bay there. And one here, which kind of acts as a buffer. And because we were a player, not a chest cart, then we went into our little station here. So it does exactly what we want it to do, which is really, really good. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to get to doing a bit of decorative work here, guys, and finishing up the rail line. Okay guys, so I've been working very hard here, and a couple of in real life days have passed by. I've been very busy since the last clip you saw, and I have been out here to the mesa. The rail line is done, and I have started to collect supplies. I've pretty much wrapped that up actually. I've just got some white stained clay here to return to the minecart chest over on the nether side. I have been and collected all my iron. I have a single chest of sand, a single chest of hardened clay, and some other bits and pieces that I decided I wanted to bring back and raid from this base. Now, as I've been kind of around here, I've also done some tool repair down at the cave spider trap. One of the next things I think I want to do here is actually kind of wrap up this whole iron golem farm to cave spider trap area. We won't be doing that today, but I think that that is going to be the next project to do. So maybe next episode, or maybe the episode after, I don't know. We'll spend some time out here and actually sort of wrap up this, get rid of all the torches, and do something with that skeleton spawner that's down there as well, and kind of get everything complete here. And then I can just come here for the resources and the XP trap. So let's take a look in the nether, and I'll show you what I've done there. Okay, so here we are back in the nether. We'll climb the ladder. And up here is now my little finished station here, where I have my minecart chest ready to go with all the goodies that I have decided to bring back. So we'll just ascend to the top of this ladder, and then we will take a look at what's inside. So here's where the ladder well ends. They're kind of moving around a little bit, but it's not too bad. Still need to put a chest there, but aside from that, this is just some extra storage. In case I decide I want to use it at any point, it's always useful to have that. Got a crafting table there. I think I'm going to bring an ender chest as well and put an ender chest here. That might be quite useful to have. I don't know as furnaces would be really that handy though, so probably just an ender chest and we'll call it done at that point. So we just need a regular chest, well, a regular double chest and an ender chest to finish this off. So there's my sand, there's all of my iron, and I've found a bunch of stone brick slabs left over from the iron golem farm. Hardened clay, some stained clay, and some red sand that I needed to pick up. And in this one I'm going to put all my white stained clay. I've got a use for this when we start work on the dark room. And that one's empty for right now. So this rail line is finished, it's functional, as we've already discussed. And what I would like to do now is actually get these minecart chests rolling here. And in order to do that, we're going to flip the track here and see how this works. So with this one, tell you what, I actually want to kind of nudge that one into place. And then they're all going to kind of sort of move of their own accord. Except for that one, apparently. And we're going to get in our own little cart here. I'm not sure if this one might lose momentum, though, because it's empty. So we'll just have to see. One other thing I didn't check is how the other end of the rail is set up either. This is one thing I'm going to have to try and get used to, I guess, is actually dealing with the rail lines to make sure they're set up properly. Yeah, this guy here is losing momentum, so we're going to end up pushing this one along, I think. Hopefully we'll be okay, and we won't start and lose too much momentum. Looks like we're catching up on that cart ahead. I can't be sure, though. Is that the end of the rail line where we turn the corner in the distance there, I see? Yeah, we're definitely catching up on that guy. Just have to hope that we end up all the way back at the main base before we catch up with him. Where are we at here on the coordinates? Okay, we're about to turn the corner here. It should be just in render distance soon. This changes, I think, just past 0 on the X, and then it's a short ways back down the Z to get back to where we need to be. Getting a little bit of lag through loading lots of new chunks. So here's the corner. Oh, they got stuck. Ooh, that's not good. I have to look at that. I mean, this guy is obviously empty, so I'm kind of expecting there's going to be issues there. He doesn't have enough momentum to keep going, but I'm slightly worried that some carts got stuck on the corner there. And here we are, back at base. here? What happened here? No! Oh, gosh. I didn't mean to shoot that one. There we go. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. I've got sand all over the track now. What happened here? Oh, great. Let's get rid of that. Although now we've got all of that all over the floor as well here. What happened here? Maybe the carts were going too fast? Because one turned up. This guy, he turned up fine. And I don't really have any storage here, do I? Get that guy down. I don't want to lose all that iron that's all over the floor. That one's the empty one. Let me see. Let me try and pick up the remainder of this. So we've got some issues to work out here for sure. This detector rail here, I may have to remove this powered rail just to slow it down enough. I think it was going too fast, which was what was causing that problem. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of testing here before this is functional. It may just be that I can't use this many minecart chests because we had the problem where it got hung up on the corner as well. So I'm going to have to look into that before deciding on what to do here. Is that everything? I think I got all the chests and minecarts and bits and pieces. Because they were going well. That empty cart certainly messed up the system a little bit. I ended up catching up with it. But we've ended up with a cart here, a cart there, 2 carts here, and then sort of 2 random carts that just went all over the place. So, what I think I want to do now is probably get rid of that powered track. I think I'll have enough momentum from the booster here. And hopefully that will solve that problem, at least for the time being. Do I even have any rails? I might have packed them all away now, I think. So I'll have to make that change off camera. And I think I want to maybe look at how that corner situation is working. And I might do some more tests with some items in these carts here. See if I can get it working a bit more reliably, because I don't like what happened there. Because it just kind of went all over the place. I mean, I guess I could have a lever rather than a detector rail, which pushes it into here. But the thing I worry about then is that my cart's going to go in there, and I don't really want it to. And this does work, it's just probably that this was a bit too sudden, and there was a lot of carts all going at once, maybe. That's what I'm thinking it possibly was as well. So I'm going to have to look into that and try and work out some of the issues with this rail line here. But generally, the transport aspect of it for me works, and transporting the loop to a degree worked. It's just working a few of these little issues out so that this can be 100% functional. But I'll work on that off camera, and next episode we may take a look at this and kind of see what I've done to it, and we may actually spend some time finishing up the Mesa base. I know I did say I wanted to do that enchanting table challenge, and I will be, but I think that this is probably a more pressing matter. I wanted to get all of this kind of wrapped up before getting into something new, and the whole reason this rail line was put in the first place was to make it easier to get back and forth between bases for a challenge like that, and so on and so forth. So hopefully I'll have that worked out by next time, and we'll spend some time fixing up the Mesa base. But for right now, I think that's going to be everything for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I hope to see you next time. So until then, see you later, and have a good day.